memory, and I'm going to be finishing out some Ziricote um, handled knives. These are kind of the prototypes for the classic American Forge series that are coming up just a bit later this year. And these have already been rough ground, so finishing these shouldn't take too long. If you haven't liked or subscribed to this channel, go ahead and hit that button, and we'll be getting things rolling just here shortly. I just did a live on doing these in Bacote, and I'm doing them mostly in batches of 4, except for when I crack one, and then I do them in batches of 3 with an oddball. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to go ahead and get this rolling with a Warren 220. And my Warren 220 looks a lot like extremely worn. And that's because I'm not wanting to really remove material, but I'm just wanting to take some scratches down. So that's this is a process that I use for that. And I split a 2x72 down. Some belts I get. This is actually aluminum oxide that I get from. Let's see. These would be from. I actually get these from Sean Ryan. So I will often use my used belt for handle finishing. And this is a prime example of that process where I'm going to upcycle some material. That over to the side just a bit more. This one's a bit denser than the Ziricote, but it's still not going to take me long to finish one out. I make it a point to go over and double check for my fit. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to work as far as finishing out with oiling, because this is kind of a dark wood to begin with. So now I'm actually going to underslack this because it's going to give me a little more versatility in the process. More finishing with Scotch-Brite on that one. Nice dense wood, nice durable wood, nice grain to it. Looks pretty good. Okay, so with the Ziricote in the previous video, I just went ahead and went to a blue surface conditioner. This one's just about, I mean, this is beyond shot at this point, but I should probably throw that away. I got others I can split down. I'm actually going to go with the red surface conditioner. If I have a warm red surface conditioner. So I'm going to go with this 1 inch and see if I can just blend away some of those scratches or some of those ridges, if you will. That is making a difference, and then I am going to go to a blue surface conditioner after this, but that did seem to make quite a bit of difference. Sometimes you have to adjust or adapt your processes to really make things work efficiently for you. That can also be the difference between making a sale and not making a sale. They will all sell. It's just a matter of for how much and how long you're going to keep them. Processes are all about being efficient. It's not about being fast, but it is about being efficient on your finishing. If it takes you days to finish a blade, you might want to reconsider. If you're doing all your hand sanding, you might want to reconsider just doing hand sanding. So now I'm going to go to that blue surface conditioner. Let's see if I can get these finished out. I've found that performance of the blade is important. The overall look of the knife is very important, but a lot of people want to see something impressive when you can't see the blade, and that's going to be your handle and fittings. Something you may notice me doing, I keep checking to see how these feel in my hand, because I don't want a symmetric handle. I want something that's going to fit the hand, and your hand isn't made to hold a perfectly round, a perfectly oval piece. I want to imagine that once I oil this, it's going to darken up quite a bit. right. Ringo Western. Interesting name. I like that. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing next is one of my favorite parts of the process, and that is oiling handles. Because when you oil the handles, that's really when your grain and your colors come out. So there's some Cody. Here's Ziricote. It might be Ziricote. I call it Ziricote. Whatever the hell it is. If I'm wrong, mention it in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed yet, it's a good time to do so. So the color that I'm going to describe right now is almost like a muddy gray. It's a little unique, and I'm just going to let that soak for a moment. You see, there's some light streaks, there's some dark streaks. And being a dense wood like this, it may or may not absorb oil as fast. Cheyenne, this is a lot denser than what I was expecting.
Which one is it?
Ziricote.
Yes.
I almost like it better in the polished form, but it's one of those woods you can get by without stabilizing, but
I'm still going to stabilize.
Stabilizing does make a difference, especially if
any natural checking or any of that is going to be stabilized to make the wood even more stronger.
Right. Could you do me a favor? Over my shoulder, there's a razor knife up there.
Yes.
So I'm just going to clean this off. Just makes for a nice dark natural wood handle. Pretty awesome. Also, when you are done, be sure to dispose of oily rags appropriately because they can catch fire. That one's got some residual air bubbles in the casting. So a nice finish right there. And I'll let it set for a little while and determine if I need to add more oil. I used to do 2 to 3 coats of oil. And I'm pretty happy with the results I got. And that was different types of wood, different times of the year. And now we're in central Illinois here, and hopefully some point it turns into part of Indiana. We're hoping. All right. What I was doing there with the razor knife, that's just some of the excess, some of that excess pewter that had formed a burr from the grinding. I'll take this and burn it in the forge real quick. Because you don't want that catching in a trash can or anywhere else. Well, boys and girls, that's how you do it. And different results with different types of exotic woods. You can do it with domestics as well. You guys have a great one. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. We'll be back with more fun and educational, and that's hard to do at the same time, videos on knife making, firearms reviews, probably do some on axe and knife throwing, cool things like that. We'll catch you guys in a few.